the ETL trainer for you, ETL testing trainer for you.
Okay.
You have any questions?
I just wanted to know about few things.
Yeah, please.
Uh, yeah, like would you be taking us through the real-time scenarios as well?
See, the thing is, okay, let me give you the overall plan. A good question to start with.
Yeah.
All right, so this session is of our 6 hours, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
altogether, we are going to have 6 hours of session. Within this particular 6 hours of session, what am I going to cover is I'm going to cover you the necessary concepts for ETL testing. Okay,
Okay.
so what are all the necessary concepts that are required for ETL testing? So once this is done, I'll be showing you. I mean, we have 3 hours today and 3 hours tomorrow, right? So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the necessary documentation. Okay,
Yeah.
necessary documentation and information out of the documentation.
Okay.
Okay, the necessary documentation and information out of that particular documentation. So once we drive this, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the ETL tool as Informatica, all right, and I'm gonna give or I'm gonna take the class with one or two scenarios based on our time availability. All right, so these scenarios will include the a real time example. I'm gonna take a one real time example with which I'm gonna show you as how to test. And when I say in testing, I will not be showing you a successful output of that particular application. I'm going to show you a defective application. So what do you, I mean, the purpose of showing you the defective application is to make sure or to make you understand or to make you know as how defects will be existing and how to figure out those particular defects. This is what my main idea about showing you a defective application and how to raise the defects and everything. We'll be discussing that, and with that, we'll conclude our entire sessions.
Okay. So
Yeah.
would you be telling us about the phases, ETL testing phases? Again, there would be different phases. So would you be telling us about the different phases and the type of testing which would be performed as a part of ETL testing?
See, the phases and everything, it is pretty normal everywhere, okay? So if you take a normal application, you'd be going with a module testing, then integration, then system, then you can say, I mean, system integration testing or system testing, and then UAT. These will be the normal phases, okay? The same is the case here because we are taking a single scenario as an example. Now, what happens is if I talk about a component testing in the first release, of our life cycle, we may get only 2 to 3 tables that needs to be tested. But these tables needs to have some relationship between other tables. So what happens is you're going to integrate those tables. Then finally, once all your system is ready, you're going to make your system and then you're going to give it into your production. So the same concepts. It's all about the concept, the way you understand the terminologies. But everything is one and the same. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Any other question?
Mm, no question as of now.
Yeah, going forward, if you have any questions, you can always, I mean, interrupt me in between so that I'll stop and I'll give you the concept as well. Don't worry about it. You can anytime interrupt me in my flow. I don't have any issues with that. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
happy
one
to help
more
you out.
thing, one more thing I forgot to ask you. Like, would you be sharing us all the documents which are involved during ETL testing? I mean,
The
mapping
the
document and all.
mapping document and everything. I have created few mapping documents for our testing purpose. I can share you that, but real-time documentation, it's illegal to share. So I'm not going to share you the real time, but examples that I take, I'll be sharing you.
So, if possible, can you give the just glimpse? I mean, just if you can show how it looks in the real environment. So,
Yeah, sure. I'll be showing you that.
okay,
Okay.
yeah. And based on the different documentation, I mean to say, based on the mapping document, we write the test cases. How do we develop the test cases and all
Yeah,
those
we are going
things
to cover
also
that.
we are going to. Okay.
We are going to cover the scenario as well. I'll give you a
Okay.
live scenario. Okay. I'll give you a
Okay.
basic, this scenario, whatever the scenario that we are going to talk about, it will be the basic scenario everywhere. In any industry, you'll be seeing this particular scenario applicable. And if you take this particular scenario, if you clearly understand about the scenario that we are going to talk with, then you're gonna rock anywhere. Okay, it's only the process oriented. The first thing of about ETL testing is it's only the process oriented one, and the second thing that is very very important is about your SQL skills. You have to be very good at your SQL skills. Um, at least till joins, you have to be very very good at it. Okay, so when you're good at till the SQL skills, then obviously you're gonna rock. Okay, I'm gonna give you a live scenario, a small project kind of scenario, and you can go take that particular project kind of scenario and you can understand as how things would happen in the real time. Okay, any other questions from Mali and Veera?
No questions, Gurkha.
Yeah, okay.
So, so for doing ETL testing, do we learn Informatica too? Is it mandatory,
Okay.
Gurkha?
To answer this question, I don't say that a tool is important first of all. For an ETL tester, he needs to know the concept behind what exactly the ETL is all about, what exactly ETL means. If you are good with that particular concept, you're good with any tool. Need not be, because tool will be having very less usage with the tool, will not be having the complete usage. Okay. We are not the
Okay.
developers. We are focusing ourselves as a test engineer and we'll be having very, very less interaction with the tool. Okay.
Okay.
Only thing is you have to know the basics. When you're good with basics, everything is one and the same. Every tool is one and the same. Either it can be Informatica or Ab Initio or Teradata or even your Pentaho, whatever it is, data stage, blah blah blah. Everything is one and the same.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you, Gurkha.
Thanks, Veera. All right. So let's get started. Okay. Um, right. So let me give a brief about myself first of all because I have to introduce myself and you have to know me who I am actually. Right. So I'm Durga Sadish. Okay, I have 8 years of experience into IT industry. Started my career as a manual test engineer, then moved on to database testing, and then now ETL testing activities. This is what that I have been doing. Apart from this, I have also worked on web services, security testing, and automation testing. This is all what I have gone through in all my 8 years career. Okay. Apart from this, I take the classes regularly. I take all the testing wing classes. Okay. So one of the mainstream that I will be talking about all the time or taking the classes all the time is ETL testing. And within this particular class, within this particular 6 hours of course, what is framed for us, what am I going to cover is I'm going to cover the concepts of ETL testing. These concepts are very much necessary for an ETL test engineer. He has to know what exactly the ETL is all about, where exactly ETL term has come from and everything. Once he is good with the concepts, then to begin with our testing activities or whether whatever may be the application, you need to know what kind of a documentation that you are given with. Okay, so we'll be talking about the kind of documentation that is available for our ETL testing activities. So once you get this particular documentation, once you have info about this particular documentation, we'll be talking about how to make use of that particular documentation into effective one and how to frame our test cases. What are the important things that we have to focus on, test on, etc., etc. Then whatever we have studied here in the second step, like the documentation and the test cases, then we would be implementing them on or with a small example. If we have time, I'll be going with another example. Okay, it's all about the availability of time that we have within our how we are getting accommodated within our 6 hours duration. And I'll be taking the ETL tool as Informatica. By using the tool Informatica, I'll be giving you this particular scenarios. Now within this particular application, what am I going to do is I'm going to introduce all the defects. Right, see, I'm not going to give you a successful application. I'm going to talk about a defective application. So when I give a defective application, you'll be able to know as how defects can encounter, what kind of a defects that we can see when doing an ETL testing, and that will give you more idea about your experience or your more idea about ETL testing, and it will give you more idea as how you have to break a particular flow in case of your ETL testing activities. So this is how I have framed my uh, what you say training for this particular 6 hours. So before I get started, do you have any other questions? We are
No,
good, correct?
Durga. Yes, yes, good.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So thanks for joining. So all right, I'm gonna start with now. Let me take a small scenario as an example, and then I'll make you understand what exactly a data warehouse is. Now, why am I talking about data warehouse? We have our course is mainly focused on ETL. Why am I talking about data warehouse? You'll be understanding it in a while. Okay. Now, I'll be taking a database table. The database table is as EMP. Okay. Now, within this EMP, I have these as my columns: EMP number, e-name, job, salary. These are my columns that I have within my EMP table, and the data that I have within this particular EMP table is 1, 2, 3, 4, Durga, QA, let's say 35,000. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5, Satish, TL, and 49,000. Right, let me take these two as my records that I have within my EMP table. Now, if you see this particular table, what are the columns that can go change in a course of time, like in a period of time? Every year we do have an appraisal kind of system, right? We do have a salary hiking process. All right, so let's assume that and after an year both Durga and Satish are sticking to the same organization, so they have reached their appraisal period time. All right, so Durga was not given any promotion, but his salary was hiked by 5,000. Right, in a year, Durga was given a salary of 5,000, and then Satish was promoted to project lead PL, and parallelly he was given a hike of 7,000. Now, in order to have this particular data reflected into this particular table, what we have to do? In order to reflect this particular data into the table, what we have to do?
Update query.
Right, we have to update the table. Right, so what happens if I write the update query? See, update EMP set salary equal to sal plus 5,000, where EMP number is equal to 1234. Likewise, update EMP set job is equal to PL, comma, sal is equal to sal plus 7,000, where EMP number is equal to 1235. Now, if I execute these two queries, what will happen to my data?
Old data would be vanished.
Right. So if I take the same table again, I'm creating the table here. So what happens here? This would become 40,000, and he would become as PL, project lead, and this would become 56,000. Right? Now, Here, now, after a period of time, let's take an after 3 or 4 months, there was a question from the management, a management team. The question was, who got promoted this year with a hike of 6,500 or more? This is what the question is. Who got promoted this year, or who are the employees who got promoted this year with a hike of 6,500 or more? That means he has to have a change in job, also change in salary, and that too greater than or equal to 6,500. Now we have this particular data within this EMP table. Looking at this particular data, can I give this particular information? Can we
No.
derive this particular
No,
information?
we cannot give.
We cannot derive this
No, no,
particular
it is not
information.
possible.
The answer is no. Why we cannot give? The reason
Because we
is
don't put information in the older one.
the
We don't
table is
have.
updated.
Yes,
As a result, you lost the data, right? What data you lost actually? Previous data.
yes,
In short, I can say history is lost, right? Previous is nothing but your history, right? So you
yes.
lost your history. So as a result of losing history, you were not able to give an answer to the analysis question, a question that is required for the business to be analyzed. You are not able to provide this particular solution because you lost the history, right? And why is this happening? Because of a single point called as normalization. So what do you mean by normalization? Normalization is a process of removing the redundant
Duplicate
data.
Going
As
anomalous,
you are going with an
anomalous.
update, you are going to normalize that particular, I mean the table is normalized because you can see that there is a primary key set and you will not be able to insert the data into it because it becomes duplicate. So you'll always lose the data. So because of this normalization, a database table a database table will not be able to provide analytical information. Every database, whatever the database that is used for any application, it is used for running the business, right? But when it comes to the analysis, it will not be able to give the necessary information. Right. So analysis is more important in order to get succeeded into a business. Let's say a small situation. You started a business in the year 2014. Now you are progressed to 2015. So when you progress to 2015, what you will do? You look back the year like 2014. Yes, which are the months, which are the weeks that I gained profits, which are the months I was having losses, or what are the products that I could make profit on, or what are the products that were giving losses. So with that particular analysis, what you will do, you'll come with a different approach in the year 2015 to make sure that your profit margin is higher than 2014, or at least your loss percentage is reduced and it is converted into profits for the year 2015. So you can do that particular analysis when you have your previous data. Now with the normalized tables, you will always be losing that particular data, and so this normalized tables is used for running the business. They cannot be used for your analytical process. Okay, so that is the disadvantage of your database. Right. A database is used for your running the business, but it cannot analyze the business. And that is why, that is where it has led a path to move towards data warehouse. Now, what is a data warehouse here? I'm going to give you a simplest example, simplest definition here. Alright, it is a database concept. It is a database concept. A concept that is extended from a database. Right, it is a concept. Now, most of the people will think that data warehouse is a tool, but data warehouse is not a tool. Data warehouse is a concept that is extended from a database. Now, it is a database concept which maintains current and historical data. Right. See here, in case of our database, it is going to maintain only the current data. What is the current job of Satish? Yes, he is a project lead. But what is the previous job? Don't know. No answer. And that is what data warehouse is going to do, which is going to maintain the current and historical data. Why is this maintained? Which is used for your business analysis and decision making. This is the main reason why we have the data warehouse. This is the main reason why we have the data warehouse. A data warehouse is going to help us in maintaining the current and historical data, which is used for your business analysis and decision making. So finally, what is the goal of data warehouse? For decision making or decision supporting system, and that is why data warehouse are said as DSS, decision supporting systems. Okay, now let's see the let me extend the same example. Right, earlier you have this particular table. All right, now there was an one sec, there is a question. Okay, maintaining current and historical data requires more space. Is that recommended? Yeah, that is what we are trying to do. I'll be talking about that. Okay, all right. So this is our original EMP table and it is normalized, right? It is normalized. Now, in order to work on data, our data warehouse is constructed in such a way that it will be in denormalized, right? It will be in denormalized. I mean, the tables within the data warehouse are denormalized. Why they are denormalized? To maintain current and historical data. To maintain your current and historical data, they are denormalized. So I am going to denormalize this particular table. Okay, let me do this. All right, this is my database table. Okay, now I'm going to denormalize this particular table. How am I going to denormalize? I'll remove the primary key on the EMP number. I'll remove the primary key on EMP number and I'll generate another primary key that is called as your surrogate key. This will be acting as your primary key, and what values will the surrogate key will be having? It will be having a value that is automatically generated. Automatically generated. Like I can say it's a sequential one. So if I say 1001 is my starting value, the second value of that would be 1002. Okay, now this is how I am going to denormalize this particular table. Right, so what happens here? Now this is my source table, the first block that you see. This is my source table, the source table data, and this is my warehouse table. Every time in the source, what happens? Whenever the data changes, it will be an updates. Right, whenever the data changes, it would be an update. Like here, the salary was updated to 40,000. Right, the job was updated to PL and his salary was updated to 56,000. but the same records will be seen as inserts here. See, how are they going to get inserted here? This is my target table. So 1003, because surrogate ID is an auto incrementing in nature. So 1003, 1, 2, 3, 4, Durga is as QA and his salary is as 40,000. Likewise 1004, 1, 2, 3, 5, Satish PL 56,000. Okay, so this is how your data warehouse table is going to maintain the current and historical data. Now if I throw the same question, if the management is asking the same question, right, who got promoted this year with a hike of 6,500 or more, look at this particular data, I can give that particular answer now. Okay, now why is the data warehouse size will be more? See here, database table always will be having a less size than your warehouse table. Now what is the main purpose to move to the data warehouse? To go with DSS. I mean, I need to have a decision supporting system. If I need to have a decision supporting system, then I need to ensure that my tables are holding both current and historical information. Now, if I need to say, if I need to ensure that my tables are holding the current and historical information, definitely I have to go with a greater size of database or greater size of that particular tables when compared to your database tables. Is that okay, Mali? Clear? My core idea is to improve my business. So definitely I'd be going with more space. Okay, so this is how your data warehouse is going to be implemented. All right, fine. All right, now I'm sorry. All right, now the definition of our warehouse, I'll be breaking the definition of warehouse into two now. Yeah, I'll be talking about that particular key as well. All right, so I'm taking this particular definition. I'm gonna break the definition into two now, which maintains current and historical data and used for your business analysis and decision making. These are the, I'm breaking the entire definition of warehouse into two. So maintaining current and historical data. So this activity is done by a process called as ETL. ETL is responsible in maintaining the current and historical data. And then now, even though you have the data in your tables, it is required to get analyzed, right? There needs to be analysis done, and this analysis is done by business intelligence. This business analysis and decision making is nothing but your business intelligence. So what business intelligence will use? The business intelligence will use this particular ETL data, and then they will be generating the reports. The business intelligence, it is very simple that they are the front end reports. Okay, here ETL is the process of extraction, transformation and loading process. We'll see what exactly mean by extraction, transformation and loading. Okay, so you're gonna extract the data, you're gonna transform the data according to your business need, and you're gonna load the data. All right, this data, the data that is getting loaded, will be used by the business team. Okay, so I'll take another example. Now there was a question about surrogate key. Now surrogate key is a primary key in case of your target tables. Why is this done? To denormalize the table. Why denormalization is required? To maintain historical data. To maintain your current and historical data, you would be going with a denormalization of that particular table. But a table, in order to retrieve the data, you need to have a index created on it, and whenever you set a primary key on that particular table, automatically a cluster index gets created, which would help us in retrieving the data in a faster manner. Okay, so that is why you're gonna create a surrogate key which will be acting as a primary key in case of your target table. Most of the cases, the surrogate key value will be auto generated one. It will be an auto generated, so that means like a sequential method. A sequential method, like if the initial value of that particular surrogate id is set as 1001, the next value 1002, 1003, if the sequential process is as 1. Okay, if the sequential incrementing process is as 1, the next value will be then that way. Or else if at all we are going to get incremented by 2, then 1001 will be your first value, the next value will be 1003, and that is how you're going to do it. Okay, so can we say the foreign key and surrogate key same? No, they are not the same. Surrogate key is a primary key in case of your target table, so it cannot be a foreign key. It is not a foreign key in that particular table, but it will be acting as a foreign key in case of your some other tables. They are called as your facts. We will see that. Now data deletion. Now see, the data deletion, it all depends on your length of data that you wanted to maintain. Okay, the historical data that the period of data that you wanted to maintain. If you wanted to, if you, for your business analysis, if you wanted to maintain only 3 years data, right, then whenever you enter into the fourth year, 1 year will go, 1 year data will go. Okay, you may archive it, you may go it for the archive. Okay, mainly one important concept, data will never be deleted. Data, you should never delete the data, because every data is your business oriented one, which will be useful for your analysis. Okay, clear? We'll see with an example that will be more understanding for you. Okay, all right, thanks. Fine. Now I have split the definition into two types now, maintaining current and historical data, so we'll talk about that. Okay, so here, now this is my source table earlier. This was my source and this was my target. When I say target, it is my data warehouse and it is my database. It is my data warehouse and this is my database. Now earlier here, prior to 40,000, you have a record called as 35,000. Right, you had a record called 35,000, and here you had a record called TL and the data was 49,000. Alright, so first what happened, to get the data loaded into your warehouse, first what it has done, it has pulled the data. That means extraction has happened. Right, the data was extracted from this particular source system, from this particular database. The data was extracted from this particular source system. On extracting this particular data, right, here we do not have any transformation rules. I'll talk about transformation rules as well. So there are no transformation rules. Okay, and finally on extracting this, what it has done, it has loaded into your warehouse. Now this is how you got your first two records. The next time the data got updated here, right, again extraction process has run, right, and no transformation rules, right, then it again loaded the data. This is in a simple nutshell way, right. If I go in detailer manner, right, if I go in detailer manner, now this is one of my source, second source and third source. Okay, so within Hyderabad, okay, what am I going to do is I'm going to do a research on the medical shops. I wanted to do a research on the medical shops, like how far the medicines, like let's say the medicine called any company like Ranbaxy medicine. Ranbaxy wants to analyze their whatever the medicines that they produce, they want to analyze on three different sources. One is your Apollo Medical, the other one is your hetero pharmacy, and what else? What do we have? Another pharmacy? Any other pharmacy that you are aware with? Mm, Apollo, hetero, Sumex. Okay, let's go with Sumex pharmacy. Okay, yeah, MedPlus. Perfect. Thanks. Thanks, Dutta. All right. So MedPlus, like these are the three pharmacies from. I mean, these are the three different sources for Ranbaxy. Ranbaxy has picked up these three sources, and Ranbaxy wants to analyze their usage of medicines from these particular three sources. What are the, or which source is going to vend, or how many like which is the source that is actively selling their products, or which is the source that is least selling their products, and how are they substituting their products with another products. This is what they wanted to analyze. Now in order to do this particular analysis, what Ranbaxy has to request, Ranbaxy has to request data from this Apollo, likewise hetero, likewise MedPlus, right? It has to request the data. Without data, Ranbaxy cannot analyze the sales of their medicines in each and every store, right? So what Ranbaxy does, Ranbaxy comes with an agreement with this particular Apollo, hetero and MedPlus, and it will make a deal with them for their analysis. Okay, now Apollo can maintain the data in their own format. The source of maintaining their particular data can be anything. I'm assuming this as my Oracle system. Likewise, hetero is maintaining the data in the SQL server, MS Office SQL server, Microsoft SQL server, sorry, MS SQL server. Okay, Microsoft SQL server. And MedPlus, interestingly, it is maintaining the data in .xls file. It is maintaining the data in .xls file. Now, the same medicines are vended in all the three stores. Okay. Now, what it has to do? It has to analyze all these particular sales of these particular medicines from all these particular three sources. Now, what it has to do? The Ranbaxy has made an agreement that every month I need the data to be vended into my system. Every month I need this particular data. You have to vend in the sense push the data into my system. Okay, or you can send that particular data to me. Okay, so let's take This is the layer for us. Okay, so what Ranbaxy engineers has does, they have implemented a process which would be pulling the data from this particular source system and places that particular data in their network. They have just implemented a particular process, and first process is your extraction. Now what are they doing? They're just extracting the data from all the three different sources, and what they have done, they have ensured that the data is within their system now. Alright, now here you have the data. Here you have the data of all the sources. Now once you have the data from all the sources, what needs to be done? Here it can sell the same product. Apollo can sell the same product. Hetero can sell the same medicine. Even MedPlus can sell the same medicine. Now what needs to be done? The data needs to be integrated, or Ranbaxy has got his own rules, business rules. Alright, the business rules may be aggregation of total sales of each and every medicine. Like let's say paracetamol is one medicine, okay, and your Volini spray is one other medicine, or some other medicines. He wanted to make an aggregation of all these particular sales for each and every day in one particular column and each and every month in other particular table, whatever it is. So he wanted to do an aggregation. So when he wanted to do an aggregation, he has to get the data from this, and from this. On having this entire data, on top of which he'll be going with own rules like the aggregation rules. So which is nothing but our transformation. Now once this is transformed, what he will be doing? He'll be preserving this particular data within their system, which is called as their warehousing system, which is nothing but your data warehouse. Okay, he is going to load that particular data within their warehousing system. Okay, so within the warehouse he'll be having all the analyzed data, all the transformed data according to their particular business needs.